Sam Carrick gets called up, this is a pretty good opportunity for him to make a statement for next season, I assume.
I think all the young guys are kind of in that boat. I mean, they have to. They're on exhibit. They're showcasing themselves. This is not his first. I think his third or maybe his fourth time being called up now. So his comfort level's got to be a little better. What you want to see is a little bit more confidence, a little bit more of that comfort level, a little bit more of that part of his game where he's not overly respectful. He's kind of playing his game. He's confident in his game, and he's an aggressive player that can score some goals. But in our situation, he's got a role, and he's going to be put in some interesting situations. We have to move some people around, but he's going to get some time. His face-offs. When you get called up from the minors, you usually have to play a certain role and be effective at it, and that grows into more time.
Leo get a look at center potentially?
Yeah, he hasn't done a lot this year, as you know. He played one game in the preseason against Detroit. He's done a little bit in the past, but we may try him a little bit and see how it goes. We have Zach Sill, who's been an effective player, kind of plays the same role as Sammy Carrick. So we may move some people around and try some things to make sure that situations are covered. Face-offs are going to be important. This is obviously a pretty ineffective team. Their top two lines are very good. And, it's going to take a lot from a lot of people. So we're going to have to use a number of people in a number of situations.
When you look at Leo's season this year, it started so well. He had a couple of injuries kind of in the middle of it. I'm not sure he's ever gotten back to where he was at the start of the year. Where do you see his game right now?
I think that he's starting to feel more comfortable, and maybe in the last week or so, he feels that he seemed like he had his emergency brake on a little bit when he got hit from behind there by Ovechkin and kind of got diagnosed with a concussion. And it took a while for them to kind of get to that point. He never felt right, so he didn't have that normal pizzazz that he plays with. That kind of he kind of plays with a little bit of reckless abandon at times, and I think it kind of held him back a little bit. But I think he's starting to feel better, and he's an important person. He's well liked in the room, and I think he's not a raw guy in the locker room, but I think he's an important person in the locker room.
I know you haven't had him too long, but what does Tim Erickson need to do in your mind to maybe establish himself as a regular NHL player?
I think that he's one of those guys that are on showcase a little bit. He's a good first pass kind of guy. He's not overly defensive, not overly offensive. He's got to kind of be effective. He's got to give us some confidence. He's got to build those confidence blocks for me. And as he starts to do more and more of those situations that I think that he's covering them and doing a good job, then I'll start feeling more comfortable with him. And so I think right now he's just got to kind of come in and be an effective player where he can handle situations, and we're confident that he can do that. As that happens, I'm going to feel more and more comfortable with his special teams and where he is in other areas of the ice.
How tough is it, do you think, for a guy like him? I mean, he hasn't played much this year. If you look his time in Chicago and Columbus and a young player to be sitting out, do you think that can be sort of a hurdle in itself to overcome?
Well, it is, and that's the reality of it, I guess. Brewer was in the same boat. He hadn't played a lot of games, maybe 9 games or something, and he broke his foot, and he'd been sitting out. And his first 2 games with us, were, subpar for him. And he's slowly gotten better and better. I think it's just the time playing, but he's become more of an effective player. I think he has to do the same thing. I mean, there's not easy for everybody. It's different challenges for everybody, and for him, that challenge is to play with that energy in every situation, whether win that puck and make that first pass, whether it's on the power play or whether it's on penalty killing. He's got to defend well. He's got to be aggressive enough to be able to win that situation and show that he can handle those things. And he's on the showcase just like a lot of players here.
Any kind of message for Bernier and just handling some of the things maybe outside of his control the last couple months?
Well, we talked to them about just resetting when we come back in. I mean, everyone's kind of got some things that they have to deal with, and Bernie's been one of the better people in the room and being one of the leaders, and he has been positive winning situations, and he can lend some of that experience. And for his own experience, I think that he handles it decently. You know, he comes back to practice the next day with a good attitude, and he's pretty understanding of what has happened. You know, in the game the other night, I don't think a lot of those were just under the bar, perfect shots, but I don't think the team played very well around him. But we just needed to make a change. But you know, I still, you know, consider him a positive, energized leader of the team.
How big is the challenge tonight with Nazem suspended, Peter injured, your depth at center obviously being tested? For you as a coach, the matchups, and also just for guys who are getting bumped up to deal with, you know, as a Sharks team, you mentioned that's a pretty good 1-2 punch down the middle.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they got two pretty good lines, and they got some other young players on their third line. For us, it's just a great challenge. I look at it as that. I think it's a great opportunity for the other centermen, whether it's Leo, whether it's Zach Sill, whether it's Sammy Carrick, players to step up and play in roles and play with that positive energy where they believe in themselves and that they're going to not take a back seat. They're going to play, step up, and show that they can handle those situations. I think it's a great opportunity for young players to show their wear.